Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about a new Zach Cregger film called Weapons. If you don't know who Zach Cregger is, he did a film a couple years ago, I would say kind of near the end of the pandemic, when theaters were starting to open again. And sorry, my seat here is kind of being weird with me, but so basically, like I said, Zach Cregger basically did a film during kind of near the end of the pandemic where it was called Barbarian, and basically it was a mystery box film where you really didn't know what was happening until way later in the film. And so as the film progressed, basically it kept unraveling itself. And so this new film that he created for Warner Brothers called Weapons is kind of a similar experience, but it's also a completely different kind of a plot. So that's kind of what's also interesting about it. So in this film, Weapons, you guys, basically this is the film I'm reviewing for you today. We find a town that basically is dealing with a problem where these kids went missing in the middle of the night, and it's all this one classroom for this one teacher in the school, and nobody knows where any of them went. Only one of the students is still there in the classroom and did not disappear from this scenario. And so this town is trying to figure out, where exactly did these kids go? Did somebody kidnap them? Was there something that happened in the forest that drew them to go there? What could have possibly have made all these kids disappear in the middle of the night all at once? And where did they possibly go? And are they still alive if we were able to find them? And so as the film unravels itself, we basically follow a series of characters similar to the film Pulp Fiction, where there would be like different chapters and different parts of the story that we would follow. So it's kind of a non-linear story, which is kind of interesting about it. But we do follow different kind of characters that are involved with this scenario, whether it's this teacher or one of the fathers of one of the students or the actual principal of the school is another story that we follow. And this is a non-spoiler review, so I'm going to try to keep this as vague as I possibly can, specifically when I get into my positive and negative. So don't worry if you haven't seen the film yet. But basically, we followed several different characters over the course of this film. Each of them are involved in this scenario in one shape or the other, or experience something in one shape or the other that is helpful for the story. And as the film progresses, we learn more and more where these kids went, why they went there, who exactly took them to go to this place, why they were drawn to this place to begin with, and what exactly happened, and why was it this classroom of this school, specifically of this one student, that this all happened to. And we find all this out over the course of the film Weapons. So, guys, I absolutely love this movie. I know earlier in the year I said that Sinners and Life of Chuck were probably my favorite films of the year. Now that I've seen Weapons, I think I can very safely say that Weapons is my new favorite film of the year so far. We'll have to see what the rest of 2025 brings us, but at the moment, Weapons is probably my favorite film of the year. It really is an extraordinary movie that really keeps you guessing from the beginning of the film to the very end. And similar to Barbarian, there's times in this movie where you just do not know where this film is going to go, and it just keeps on keeping you guessing and keeping you on your toes as to where exactly the story is going to go. And it is just an absolutely magnificently made movie, and there's tons of positives and negatives I want to share with you about this movie because I absolutely loved this movie. And when I do get to my negatives, I really don't have a lot of them just because I really think this film is that good. But for my positives of this movie, though, first and foremost, I just love that this is an original story. It has its own original vibe, and it's a mystery box film, like I mentioned earlier, where you just do not know where it's going to go. And I think that's just such a fresh, innovative way to make a film in 2025. You just do not have a lot of films like this anymore. There's just so many films that are IP driven, or a sequel, or a prequel, or a remake, or based on a book, based on a comic book, based on a video game, based on a popular show. And I just like that we have films still where it's an original story. It really is trying to have its own original vibe because there is some moments of levity here. There is some moments of comedy. There's moments of drama. There's moments of thriller. There's so many things that this film is able to do all at the same time. And it's super impressive that Zach Cregger was able to balance all of this into one film. And I just really liked how original this film felt. It really felt like nothing else I've ever seen. And I just really appreciate that Zach Cregger is able to make such an original story with its own original vibe and keep this mystery box going to where we really do not know what's going to happen from beginning to end. You have to watch it all the way through from the very first frame to the last one, similar to how Barbarian played out back when that played out, or back when that came out. And I just really appreciate just how original this film feels. And then my next huge positive point is Amy Madigan from Uncle Buck has a role in this movie. and her performance is just absolutely magnificent. I really do hope, and I know the Film Academy is kind of stubborn about this, they really don't like to acknowledge horror films, but if they ever do, they really need to acknowledge Amy Madigan's performance here. She plays Aunt Gladys, I think is her character's name, and man, oh man, what a masterful villainous performance here. This is probably my favorite villainous performance from an actor or actress since Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight, and I'm not exaggerating that. This is a terrific performance. She is so good in this movie. She's so terrifying. How she is able to kind of manipulate the public and play this character and still be the aunt of this kid and all this other stuff, and just the way the story plays out. And I don't want to give up too much away because this is a film where you really have to experience it completely blank, just go in knowing nothing about it. But man, oh man, when Amy Madigan's character does show up in this movie, it's a terrific performance. I absolutely love it. It's easily one of the best villainous performances I've probably seen, like I said, since Heath Ledger's Joker and since Javier Bardem's Antoine Chigurh in No Country for Old Men. I really think it's that good of a villainous performance. Please, oh please, Academy, you have to nominate her. She is so good in this movie. So be on the look for Amy Madigan's Aunt Gladys character. You will not be disappointed. She is that good in this movie. I also loved how mysterious this film felt. I loved how suspenseful this film felt. And I liked just how scary some of the visuals were in this movie. It doesn't rely on jump scares. It doesn't rely on stupid little things that certain horror films like to do now, certain little tropes. It really stays within its own universe. It's able to keep the scares in ways that are strictly based off of the villain of the film, what the film is about, what scenario these characters are thrown into, and kind of the scary, uncomfortable feeling that some of these characters have to experience, like this teacher's class all disappearing at the same time, and how the general public's kind of blaming her for all of it, and kind of the blame and how that guilt has caught up with her and stuff like that. So I just like the mysterious vibe of the film, just how suspenseful it was and how scary it was. All of that works brilliantly in this movie. And I also like too, I heard this film somewhere that was made on between, I would say, $40 to $50 million. And in today's Hollywood standards, that's actually a very low budget to stay in. A lot of films, unfortunately, these days are made for about $100 to $200 million, and that is obviously way too much for any film to get made. But I like how this film stayed at a reasonable budget, and to be honest, too, obviously, I'm sure there's a couple of big special effects things that costed money to get this film made, but I liked how this film felt like it was made on a reasonable budget. I liked that it felt like it wasn't trying to be a big blockbuster film. It really was trying to stay within budget, feel like something that like an independent filmmaker would have made right now with, let's say, I don't know, $20 million. It really felt like it was made for a reasonable budget, and I like that it wasn't trying to be too huge or too in your face with the special effects. I do like how this film was made with a reasonable budget, and I think more Hollywood producers could take note that you can make great films like this for a very reasonable budget where you can easily make a profit in the box office for the film that you made. And I can't get into too much detail on the next one, but I do like how there is kind of a secret subject matter that's explored in this movie. For those who have seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I would say once you kind of get into what the film's really about and where these kids went, that's kind of where the secret subject matter kind of comes in with this movie. And man, oh man, it's a lot of fun. I really like how Zach Cregger was kind of able to keep all that secret from the marketing of this film and from all the trailers. It really was a nice surprise while watching this movie that he was able to keep that secret. I also thought there was some great symbolism and foreshadowing in this movie. I thought all that was very well handled. I thought the way that we kind of lead into the villain of the film and the reveals of the film and how certain characters are dealing with guilt and all this other stuff. Sorry, my girlfriend had to get up to go to the bathroom, but yeah, I liked how all the symbolism and foreshadowing was very effective here, and it really does make for a great theatrical experience. I also like how this town feels like a relatable town that could be, this town, any town, the town you're living in now. I do like how this film feels like something that could be in California or be in New York or be in Florida. I like how this town doesn't feel like specifically it has to be in, California or whatever. It really does feel like it can be in anywhere in the United States or in Canada or whatever. So I do like how this film feels relatable. It feels like it's about people that are like you and me that are hardworking and live in a town where you pursue a career and you find a place to live and all this other stuff. And I just liked how relatable the film felt. I also liked how great the characters were in this movie. It really felt like I was felt invested in the characters, that I felt invested in their journeys. That each chapter the film explores is about great characters. It is about characters that we care about and the mystery that we're on, and all that stuff that leads into a terrific film where we are following great characters that we feel invested in. But for my negatives of this movie, why Weapons I wouldn't consider to be a perfect film, but it's still quite a great one. I feel like the use of light switches isn't very strong in this movie. There's just a lot of times where characters walk into a dark room or a dark house, and clearly a light switch is available. Clearly the power isn't out in that house. But I don't like how the film made light switches feel non-existent. So I thought that's one aspect of the film where as I was watching the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, Josh Brolin, you could use the light switch, or okay, Julia Garner, clearly there was a light switch there. You could clearly turn on the room and just make sure that there was nothing there to put you in danger or anything. So I thought that aspect of the story could have used some work. So I thought the use of light switches could have been more to better use in this movie. I also thought there was some cutaway edits where we are following different characters over the course of this film, and I did feel like some of the edits felt a little ill-advised. Like there's a scene with a police officer character where we kind of find out about this really bad thing that happened to him, and it kind of cuts away at a really bad time and goes into another character's story at a really ill-advised time as well. So I thought some of the cutaway edits could have been better handled, and certain stories that we explore, specifically with some of these characters, could have been further explored as well. But overall, guys, I'm going to give Weapons a 9.5 out of 10. It's an excellent film. It's easily one of my favorite films of the year. Like I said, I just love how original it felt, how it stayed within a reasonable budget, and then Amy Madigan's performance is just truly terrific here, and it's truly a film that will keep you guessing from beginning to end. So Weapons gets a 9.5 out of 10 for me. I absolutely love this film. Be sure to check it out. You will not be disappointed.